Well, good morning. As other people are coming in, we will welcome them. But I am Mark McGill, the Director of Member Relations here at the South Bend Regional Chamber. We are so glad that you've joined us today for our Solutions for Success. Should NIL be part of your strategy? I'm really excited. We'll introduce Kayla here in a minute, but Kayla and I spoke probably about a year ago now. And I was not really aware of really the inner workings of the name, image, and likeness. Of course, being a world-class athlete in the best shape of my life, you think I would be more into it, but I was just really fascinated by just the tip of the iceberg, and so I can't wait to hear what Kayla has to say and how it might really positively affect your business. A couple of quick housekeeping things. Next Tuesday, the 29th, our next networking at lunch featuring the auto dealer giants at the Holiday Inn Mishawaka Conference Center on Douglas, 11:30 to 1. Should be great. Representatives from Gates and a couple other big dealerships, the Lexus folks, so the Jordan folks, so should be really good. Next Tuesday, the 29th, our next virtual member briefing is Tuesday, September 19th. Jeff Ray, our president and CEO, will host that, and all the departments will give you about a half an hour. Within a half an hour, we'll all give you an update of what we're working on here at the Chamber. And our next business after hours, always a good time, at the Logan Center at the Jefferson Boulevard campus on September 20th from 4 until 6. SBRchamber.com is the website to find all of the information on the events. Make sure you check out our podcast series. We have a new video series, and always are just trying to come up with new ways and new things and new tools to help you, our member businesses. Solutions for Success and all of the great programs that we do here at the Chamber could just not be possible without great partners like Sim Financial. Evan Stark is on the screen with us. Just huge supporters of the Chamber, and just really good people. And again, Evan, good morning, and thank you for your continued support of the Chamber.
Good morning, Mark. Appreciate the introduction and the opportunity to be here. Apologize for the informal look. I'm actually off today, but I did not want to miss this topic because it is very interesting and does come across my world every once in a while. So very fascinating stuff. And to Mark's point about being a world-class athlete, I mean, I think if it's on ESPN, it does count as a sport, and there are eating contests. Yeah. So I feel like that's fair.
I'm your guy.
Sim Financial Advisors loves getting to partner with the Chamber for events. We are a locally based but nationally recognized independent financial advisory firm that oversees approximately $4 billion on a discretionary basis for clients of all kinds, and provides independent financial advice in just about any area that touches finances in a person's life. So always happy to be learning more from fellow Chamber members, and happy to hear from Kayla today. Thanks, Mark.
Man, Evan, thank you again so much. You again, just a great partner to the Chamber, and we sure love working with you. All right, Kayla Miller, the marketing manager for Altius Sports Partners. She previously worked at On Location Experiences, where she led the virtual experiences division and collaborated with the business-to-business team on creating once-in-a-lifetime experiences for exclusive guests. She worked for Anthony Travel, the leading collegiate partner, but I think most impressively, although she's impressive all the way around, a former Division I women's basketball student athlete and captain at the University of Delaware. Do not challenge her to a one-on-one. I'm telling you right now, do not. It's not a good idea. Kayla also had stints at her alma mater in both university development and as director of women's basketball operations. What I love about Kayla is she has a passion for making a difference in people's lives, especially the lives of student athletes, and you're going to learn more about that right now. Name, image, likeness, and Kayla Miller, Altius Sports Partners. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Thank you very much for that awesome introduction. And Evan, thank you very much for making this all possible. Excited to be here with everybody today. One thing, hopefully you realize as I kind of get talking, is that I want this to be a very, very much conversation based, and hopefully you feel like you can ask kind of any questions. We'll probably wait to the end to answer any kind of questions. So feel free to enter your questions into the chat. But also I'll stop periodically if there's specific questions pertaining to information I kind of just shared. Please don't be shy. So again, my name's Kayla Miller. I am the Athlete Marketing Manager at the University of Notre Dame, but I do work for Altius Sports Partners. And I'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty of that in a little bit. The goals I'd like you to get out of today are: one, have a better understanding of name, image, and likeness. Two, being able to envision NIL as a successful solution for your company at a reasonable rate. And then three, knowing that I'm here to help you navigate. Student athletes are very important and part of my role, but also helping businesses succeed and seeing a return on investment while using student athletes' name, image, and likeness is also another priority of mine. So, Altius Sports Partners, how do we kind of get to where we are today? Casey Schwab, who's up in like the top center leftish, he is our CEO and founding partner. He previously worked at the NFL Players Association and was negotiating deals for athletes and on the other side of the collective bargaining agreement. What he realized once name, image, and likeness became something relevant in the NCAA like about 3 years ago is he thought whatever's going on from a pro sports perspective, it's going to translate over to the collegiate sports space. So his one question is, how are schools going to be able to handle this? So what he did was he met with and consulted with the top industry leaders. So you'll see up there Gabe Feldman. He is a law professor at the University of Tulane. He actually helped write the white paper with the NCAA. Renee Anderson, who's up there, she's the number 2 at the NFL. And then Jessica Mendoza, she has utilized her brand to excel in her career today. So the way I think of Altius, there's 2 pillars under Altius. One, we help with brands. So on a national landscape, Altius Sports Partners works with the brands that you see here. We work with top brands like a Powerade all the way down to your local flower shop. And that second pillar is universities. So we are partnered with over 30 universities, most of them being Power 5 schools. And we're helping them navigate the NIL landscape and providing solutions in this ever-changing world that we live in on a daily basis. So again, myself, so the reason why, so Notre Dame hired Altius Sports Partners as a third-party consultant to come in, and my main priority is going out to local businesses, regional organizations, and creating meaningful NIL opportunities for our student athletes. The reason why they went with a third party is because the NCAA, per NCAA rules, they're not able, university employees are not able to go to your local nail salon and say, hey, would you ever be interested in working with our student athletes? They might be able to provide you this, this, and this. So me not being a University of Notre Dame employee, I have that luxury to go out and meet with people like yourself and talk about and help facilitate those kinds of opportunities. A second priority of mine is helping educate the athletes, whether that's one, how do you get started? I don't even know how to build my brand. I don't know what my brand is. So helping direct them on what path makes the most sense for them. Contracts, these are all great things that the athletes have from an experience standpoint, but most of them have never seen a contract before. So just understanding what exclusivity means, perpetuity, all those buzzwords you hear on Shark Tank and things like that. So helping just have them ask the right questions if they're working with a brand, and making sure that they feel comfortable with whatever it is that they're being asked to do. Okay, so any questions before I kind of get into anything else? I don't see anything in the chat, but if anybody has anything, feel free to raise your hand. All right, so high level, this is really just high level of what NIL is and what it isn't. So NIL is not pay for play. So I'm sure most of the people on this today have probably seen in social media or the news outlets where you see like $1 million to this quarterback or this basketball player. Now, they could be true NIL opportunities where they're doing something in exchange for that, But the majority, about 90% of NIL deals are done with local businesses at reasonable rates. So please don't think that you need to have $500,000 to work with student athletes and their name, image, and likeness. And here, just basic rules and regulations. Every school is different. Every state is different. If anybody has kind of kept up on anything, there's different state laws. Indiana does not have a state law, so we abide by the NCAA's rules, as well as we also have a Notre Dame policy, which helps protect the Notre Dame brand, and then also helping protect the student athletes and what their aspirations are. But really just kind of want to put this slide in here. There could be a lot of rules sometimes, but I'm here to help you navigate these NIL opportunities from facilitating to closing the deal. So here is just kind of like an overview of different kinds of NIL opportunities that maybe you hear about, maybe you don't. So one, endorsements. This could be something where student athletes posting on social media, they're a part of a video, a commercial, or anything like that for you. They wrote something out. One example is we have had Performance Wealth. They are a company out of Chicago, and they worked with about 10 student athletes and providing them financial literacy and applications to understand all of those things. And then in return, the athletes had to pose for pictures wearing Performance Wealth t-shirts. So if anybody was ever interested in that, be more than happy to share an article that was written of that. And then also, like, our Notre Dame corporate sponsors have used our student athletes, whether it's posing for pictures or having student athletes make a social media post about it. Another one is fan experience, and also fan activations. So there's a company, maybe some of you have heard of, Juke. So Griffin created this out of the ideas, with the Idea Center's help. And essentially, after meeting him at a local South Bend event, we got to talking and thinking about how music can be applicable to student athletes. Came across a great idea of baseball players and how they have walk-up songs. So this past spring, there were about 9 baseball players who posted on their social media, emailed out friends and family, and encouraged them to pay to vote for their upcoming walk-up song. It was a great way for the athletes to engage with fans, but then also another way for athletes to earn money on their name, image, and likeness. Camps and lessons. This is probably one of the more lucrative pieces where student athletes can really make money and capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. We've had a couple of student athletes really go ahead and try to host their own camps or clinics. For this group on here, I want to point out about if you're a company and one of your values is the community, and you wanted to host a community day for youth or something like that, and you wanted to hire a couple student athletes to lead in some drills or some skill-specific activities, obviously good PR for the company, and then also getting to work with the student athletes. So just thinking of using the student athletes in that sense could be something. Going back to the endorsements, one of my favorite ones, and this was just a free product exchange, but we have an athlete who is diabetic, and they signed a deal with Dexcom, and in return, they received a glucose monitoring system in exchange for being a spokesperson for that company. So that was one of my favorite ones, just because it's something that the athlete needed, and he was able to go ahead and get that by using his name, image, and likeness in a very creative way. And then lastly, there are merch opportunities. So if you went on the Notre Dame website today, you would be able to see student athletes and buy like their jersey or t-shirt or something like that. And then one unique piece to Notre Dame is it's not just name, image, likeness. We also have ideas at the end. So there is startup athletic athleisure wear for women. There's a company that wanted to work with several of our female student athletes. So they gave our female student athletes gear in exchange for the athletes' opinion, advice, feedback on what they liked, what they didn't like about that gear. So if you have a campaign or idea in mind, at the top left, you see we do have a marketplace that we have partnered with. If anybody remembers Brandon Wimbush, he is one of the co-founders for this marketplace that we are using. But you're able to go in on there and find athletes to work with. But I highly recommend, just if you want to reach out to me, maybe the marketplace is your solution, but I can go ahead and help guide you, whether it's to the marketplace or working with the student athlete directly for you.
Kayla,
Mark,
we've got a
I saw
quick
you
question
pop
on
up.
we got a
Go
question
ahead.
on chat. Can you share
Yep.
more on Notre Dame's policy specifically?
Yes, I will do my best to do that. Full transparency, it ends up coming down on a case-by-case basis. The biggest thing I would say is, like, if you are not a Notre Dame corporate sponsor, you would not be able to use photos of the athletes in their Notre Dame uniforms or gear or any Notre Dame IP. Now, you can always obviously scrub those. What you can have is Kayla Miller, University of Notre Dame women's basketball. That's me just being wishful thinking from back in the day. But you can have it written out as the athlete's name and University of Delaware women's basketball player. We just had a couple of football players sign a deal with a local car dealership. And when they made a commercial, and in that commercial, it was a statement of fact of who they are. I'm X, I'm a member of the Notre Dame football team. So while you might not be able to use any of Notre Dame Mark's logos IP, there's always solutions and creative ways around those. I know this is being recorded, but hopefully certain people don't see this.
We know nothing.
Again, I'm here to try to help maximize the student athlete's name, image, and likeness for your business to get that return on investment. That is the biggest thing. Now, I'll actually, to that question, show you an example. There's a female athlete in the middle here where she is in her Notre Dame her Notre Dame t-shirt. You see that? She is able to make that post on her social media promoting this snack brand. That brand just would not have been able to reshare that or anything like that. So if a student athlete is making a post on their own, they are allowed to be in their Notre Dame t-shirts, whatever it is that they've been given. It's just that the brand would not be able to reshare or repost it. So hopefully that kind of helps answer any questions on the Notre Dame policy specifically. Another basic one would be if there's alcohol involved, like an alcohol deal, the student athlete has to be 21 or over. And thinking of like Notre Dame morale and pieces like that, just not no drugs or anything like that, and gambling can be a part of NIL deals. Go ahead, Mark.
Great question here. Would having these deals between the university and the athlete prohibit involvement with nonprofits for NIL-based fundraising strategies?
Yep. So that is a great question, Evan. We actually have, and maybe you've heard about it. So we do have a collective, and the collective is a group of donors started up their own nonprofit entity where they are fundraising on their own, to where you can earmark checks to whatever sport it is. So if somebody gives $20,000 for football, the fund, the Friends of the University of Notre Dame, that nonprofit entity, they would go ahead and find nonprofits to work with where the student athlete is helping gain awareness for a particular charity. They're signing memorabilia for the charity to auction off, things like that. So we do have a nonprofit collective who's working with other nonprofits. That being said, it is possible if you're a nonprofit on here and you wanted to directly work with an athlete, you do not need to go through the collective realm. you can 100% talk to myself. Like I know we have a few student athletes who, one, really care about mental health. Somebody has really been affected to sickle cell. So that's one thing. I haven't found a sickle cell type charity for that athlete. It's very important to him, but being able to work directly with those charities. And again, part of my role is helping educate the student athletes on we don't want these to be transactional deals. We want this to be the start of like a relationship. So again, having an opportunity to work with a student athlete, who knows what could come of that. You don't have to sign a 4-year contract with an athlete, but you can sign a 1-month deal. And then if it goes well and you want to continue to keep working with that athlete, it could even potentially turn into that athlete working for your business beyond their time here at Notre Dame. There's a lot of different possibilities, but really trying to help educate the athletes on building your network is something that's important. So don't just say no to certain things if it could be a great opportunity and open up many more doors for you. You think I answered it, Mark?
I do. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So again, I know I kind of talked about a bunch of different examples, but again, here's just some other examples, whether it's social media or athletes being used for marketing campaigns for different brands.
Another great question here, if we can pause for a minute. It says,
Perfect.
we are an ND corporate sponsor. If we have an agency reaching out to us now on behalf of a Notre Dame athlete, is it preferred to work through Altius/ND?
That is a really good question. It's whatever works best for your business. Now, I'll say there could be a chance where I actually have worked with the agent or agency before, and they are keeping us in the loop from a policy standpoint. We're just making sure that everything is up to par. That being said, like in my role, I don't receive any type of commission or anything like that. So like if it is just looping me in on something, it is preferred. But I don't want it to be like it's a slap on the wrist if you don't. It's just really nice and helpful for the student athletes to feel that they're supported from Notre Dame, even though I'm an Altius employee, but I do reside in the Joyce Center. And then also, again, to just really help support you and your business on what, because of Altius and like the different examples and the different networks I have to tap into, there might be some different marketing campaigns that might make the most sense depending on who that athlete is. So again, you don't have to. I prefer it. But again, don't want you to think that it is taboo. Great question. So just quickly on the Notre Dame team. So I work daily with Dave Poloquin and Nick Sergey. They have both been around Notre Dame for quite some time, but they are the Notre Dame employees on our name, image, and likeness team. So I enjoy working with them on a daily basis. So in case anybody has heard of those names, happy to, if you feel more comfortable going to them, totally fine. But want you to know that you have me to go to, and I'll follow up with Mark in the chamber on just my information so you guys can reach out to me with, even if it's just questions or, hey, I'm a local tire shop and do you have any examples that I can kind of see what else has been done out there? And has there been a return on investment? I'm happy to help show you those things and help guide you in that process. And then I also have a PDF to hopefully help navigate and have a little bit more tangible examples that you can see in that. But that being said, I will open this up for questions. I think I saw something in the Q&A.
I just think what's really interesting about this, Kayla, is what you and I spoke about is that, and you kind of touched on it at the top of the presentation, is it's not $1 million. I mean, it's real there, you know, and I also love the fact that pretty much anything is possible. I mean, there's a way to, you know, if it really makes sense for your business to kind of hitch your wagon to a a Notre Dame student athlete. It's great for the student athlete. It's great for you, but I think you're right. I think we see all the Gatorade, Powerade, big commercials, and we think, well, we can't afford that. But as you and I spoke about a year ago, it really is very affordable and can be quite effective.
Yeah, 100%. I actually saw a question come in through like the Q&A tab from Brian. So it says, examples you've given so far: trade deals, equipment or medical device for services. Do you negotiate cash deals as well? What determines cash rate? Are there term limits to NIL? Are there geographic limits to NIL use? What about business website integration? So Brian, thank you. It's a great question. So some of the deals that I actually talked through, some of them are cash deals. One thing is I do not negotiate on the athlete's behalf. Now I can help guide and refer what makes the most sense for your business and what I think might get you a football player or a prominent athlete versus, hey, I really care about working with somebody who's great with kids. And like, I don't care about the social media following, who best fits that mold and how, like, what kind of range are we looking at? What determines the cash rate? Sport, amount of followers, how the athlete is playing at the given time, if they're in season, out of season, if they had a good game, if they had a bad game. All of those are factors of the cash rate. The term limits to NIL are flexible to whatever it is that you want as a company. Also, obviously, if it's a 4-year term that you create and the athlete's like, well, no, I only want to do a year just because I don't know if I want to do this, that obviously the athlete or their agent can negotiate on that piece of it, but there are no limits. And that if an athlete showed me a contract though, and I saw that the term limits go beyond their time at the University of Notre Dame, I would recommend that they ask that question of, hey, I graduate in May, but this term is for another 2 years after that. I don't feel comfortable with this. And then the geographic limits, I actually encourage our student athletes, even though, and this is no offense to anybody on here, but in South Bend, Notre Dame is the biggest thing. So thinking about, the people who come in for football weekends, for graduation, things like that, instead of paying off an influencer, if that's something that you use from a marketing campaign, thinking of Notre Dame student athletes, because it is their family and friends who are coming in, and they're the ones on campus. So thinking of the athletes in that sense, which is a great way for that. However, the student athletes probably have their most marketability in their hometowns. So from a geographic limits, there are none, with an exception of international student athletes are not able to earn money using their name, image, and likeness if they are on an F1 visa. And that is not a Notre Dame policy. It's not an NCAA policy. That is a government thing that is being talked about and sorted out, but I don't expect anything to change right now in that. They can earn money using their name, image, and likeness when they are in their home country or in a different country. So that's just one thing. If there was a Canadian athlete, they would just have to do the work in Canada. They could not do the work here, even if it means hitting send on a social media post. And then the business website integration, that's a great call out where athletes can be on the website, again, depending on if you're a corporate sponsor or not, but whether it's them in their uniform or not, but at least being able, if there's a quick video of them saying, hi, I'm Kayla Miller, I'm a women's basketball player at the University of Notre Dame, and I love eating at Shake Shack. I know there's no Shake Shack in South Bend, so I felt like I wasn't going to offend anybody else. But so hopefully, Brian, I answered your questions. They are great ones. Again, I know that the cash and like what the rate is probably a big question that people are going to leave here today with. And again, it's going to vary. I know this isn't an answer everybody's going to like, but it's going to vary depending on what it is you're looking for and who you're looking to work with. As you can imagine, working with a Sam Hartman is going to be a lot different than working with somebody who's not Sam Hartman. I don't want to knock any other athletes or sports or anything like that. But again, I'm here to help with that range piece, or at least temper expectations in terms of, hey, if your budget is $500, we can make something work with that and figure out what the best bang for your buck is going to be, or if it's working with multiple student athletes to help really capitalize on that $500 for you and your business.
Sorry. What are the key concerns an organization should consider before engaging in an NIL partnership? Key concerns.
So from a business point of view, and I've heard this from different businesses, one I know, just as I've kind of gone out to meet with people, is they don't have enough resources to even think about this. They're like, we don't have the money resources, we don't have the time or people in place to create this marketing strategy. Where, like, again, that's where I come in. Not that I'm always trying to insert myself, but I'm here as a resource to help share other campaigns of businesses like yours, and what they have done, but also after getting to know who your target audience is, what you stand for, what your values are, being able to create something where you might be able to envision, okay, this could be a possibility, or it's worth a try for us to do this. And then I'm here to help execute that. So getting the athletes on board, making sure that they do their part in whatever it is. Another concern is athletes, and this isn't to scary, but I'm a very honest person. Collegiate athletes are between ages 18 and 21. Now professional athletes still make mistakes. Don't get me wrong, because we know all of those stories too well. But I know a lot of businesses are reluctant to work with athletes just because if an athlete did something and got in trouble and now they're affecting the company, where, like, in almost every single contract, there is a clause of, if you get in trouble or don't align with our values anymore, like, this contract is terminated, things like that. So there are safeguards to be able to help protect your business and your image. And then the last thing would be just transferring. Collegiate athletics is a fun time, I'll say, to be politically correct. And with the transfer portal and things like that, I know that there's certain businesses who are like, oh, well, what if they leave? And I don't want to work with them if they transfer to Clemson or something like that. So I would say those would be the concerns for an organization if they were to engage in an NIL partnership.
I don't know how they could reach out to you directly too after this webinar, which is really great. That's what we just kind of wanted to whet the appetite. And then for specific questions, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yes. So you'll have my email address, but also, I'm happy to give my cell phone number too. And honestly, texting and calling, you could probably get in touch with me the quickest. But I do like to try to respond to my emails within hours of getting a email. I'll actually even do this. There's my email, and then here is my phone number. So you don't have to wait for that email to come through of my contact information. But again, even the athletes will call me with something just random, like at 10 o'clock at night. Hey, a brand wants me to post this. Is this okay? Please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any kind of question. I want everybody out of this, again, to feel like this is a unique and interesting space. And want you guys all to, oh, sorry, I apologize. I sent it to the panelists. Mark, is there a way that somebody can post my?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you. It's not letting me send it to everybody, but
somebody way smarter than me can do that, but we'll get it done.
But again, I'm here to help with anything, even if something doesn't come to fruition and you end up not working with an athlete. At least we kind of talk through it. We envision what it could look like. And again, maybe there's something else in the future that makes the most sense. There are a lot of student athletes where I'm talking to them and getting to know them. learning about the businesses that they go to, the services that they use when they're here. And that's how I kind of started my initial outreach. But again, I think I've learned that there are a lot of businesses who are like, I don't know who I would even contact, or for years it was told, do not work with Notre Dame student athletes. They don't own their own name, image, and likeness, where now it's very different. So it's a fun space. And there's a lot of different things that you can do and utilize the athletes and their name, image, and likeness. And again, it provides opportunities for athletes to really get that hands-on experience in maybe a potential field that they never expected they would want to work in. And now they might be changing their major. So I appreciate everybody's questions. I don't know if anybody else has anything else at all.
Yeah, we just encourage you to really reach out to Kayla. I mean, I just think that, this is really great. And as you and I talked about, Kayla, about a year ago when we put this all together, that, it's not going away. I just think that there's a whole educational aspect to it, and the fact that it's really more attainable than I think people think. And I think it could be a win-win for everybody involved. And so we just really appreciate your time today and educating us. And we had some great questions.
Yes, no, and again, thank you everybody for your questions. The last thing would be, if NIL isn't something that makes the most sense for your business, but you want to throw your 5-year-old daughter a birthday party and you want a women's basketball player to be there or be present because she loves this one player, I'm also here for that, like that as well. I know I talked about our marketplace, but our marketplace is about to start off where you can start interacting with the athletes individually and asking for those kinds of requests, whether it's a birthday video message, attending a party, making an appearance, things like that. A few of our athletes have done autograph signings in storefronts, like Crumble Cookie, I believe. We had an athlete there doing autographs to try to get more foot traffic. So again, just a lot of different creative ways to hopefully utilize the athletes. One thing that I'm really trying to push this year is, like, anybody who purchases suites at football games, informing them of, hey, you can have a student athlete create a video and send the video for any of your guests to be there or anything like that, or send it posts thanking them, signing memorabilia as gifts for your guests. So all different kinds of things. Again, not strictly business related, but could be, but also just the fan engagement piece as well.
Amazing. Kayla Miller, Marketing Manager, Altius Sports Partners. Really, really good. This was exactly what I'd hoped it would be, but please reach out to Kayla and just, this kind of gave you a high level view of maybe answered some NIL questions, but yeah, talk to Kayla. And as you can tell, she's more than willing to come up with ideas and really just work with you to see if it's something that makes sense for your business. So Kayla, thank you. This was really great. We appreciate you.
No, thank you. And again, thank you everybody. And hopefully I get to meet you sometime in person.
Yeah. Our next Solutions for Success is Cracking the Vault, Unleashing Candid Communication in the Workplace, Thursday, September 14th, 9 till 10. Networking at lunch is next week. Again, sbrchamber.com is where you go for more information on all of our events. And boy, thank you again for your support of the South Bend Regional Chamber. We really appreciate you. Any questions you have for me, I'm always available. And again, I encourage you to reach out to Kayla and find out even more about the NIL. So stay cool out there today. It's not going to be nice. And if you have to be outside, stay hydrated. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your Thursday. We'll see you.